Humanity is gearing up for its next giant leap to Mars and become interplanetary. Recent years have seen phenomenal progress in our capability of colonizing Mars, from miniaturization of technology to the advent of reusable rockets, bringing down the cost of space travel, and ever more players entering the arena of space exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The scene is really on for the next chapter in human endeavour. While much development can be seen in the arena of logistics of human travel to Mars, the engineering solutions for human habitation in specific Martian contexts still seem like a far cry, except for few complex and low-profile habitation ideas which barely meet the requirement of temporary human habitation on a small scale. As the momentum to send first humans to Mars grows, it is certain that we will see first humans land on Mars in the next few years. This is bound to be followed by a need to establish a permanent human colony there. The journey to Mars is costly and time-consuming, and for the establishment and survival of a permanent presence on Mars, it is vital for humans to become independent there. This requires a minimum critical mass of human population there in order to establish construction, manufacture, mining, agriculture, power generation, and fuel production infrastructure, to say the least. SpaceX's founder and CEO Elon Musk floated the idea of establishing a 1 million-strong human presence on Mars last year, which led Dr. Robert Zubrin, one of the most vocal advocates of human exploration of Mars, to announce the International Mars City-State Design Competition in the same year. Mareekh Dynamics revolves around the engineering solutions proposed in the Mareekh City idea from the International Mars City-State Design Competition in 2020.
The philosophy of Mareekh Dynamics is simple: to keep things simple, literally and practical. We believe that for any engineering solution to be achievable, be it architectural, power generation, or related to long-term safety and sustenance on Mars, it should be many times simpler and cheaper to build on Mars than it is on Earth. To put it simply, if it seems difficult to achieve on Earth, it will be far more difficult to achieve on Mars. And this is where Mareekh Dynamics comes in.
Mareekh Dynamics offers practical, simpler, and cost-effective engineering solutions for human habitation on Mars, encompassing habitation structures called crater habs, safety from radiation in the form of active integrated radiation shield, and a hybrid power generation method designed to work in the unique Martian environment, which is aimed to be far more efficient than any current idea of power generation on Mars. These ideas are patent pending through United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Humanity's next giant leap is imminent, and there is a need to bring the development of comprehensive, cost-effective, and practical engineering solutions for large-scale human settlement on Mars out of the hindsight which has been eclipsed by the logistical consideration for the journey to Mars. In order to sustain the long-term presence, the residents of a Martian settlement need to come out of their spacesuits for most of their time and live and work in a shirt-sleeve environment. To achieve this, enormous pressurized volumes of habitable space are required where all the activities of sustenance of life are carried out. These structures must not only be strong and provide an Earth-like internal pressurized volume, but they also need to be able to provide protection against the solar radiation.
Crater hab is our patent pending habitation structure concept, specifically designed for large-scale permanent human habitation on Mars. Crater habs are inflatable domes composed of multiple layers of ultra-strong fabric, assembled in a hexagonal or isogrid lattice framework, internally held together by internal cables anchoring it to the ground. These domes are built over small impact craters on Mars, utilizing the natural compactness of the rings of impact craters on an otherwise loose and less compact surface of the Martian crust. These crater habs will be anywhere from 50 meters to 500 meters or over in diameter, interconnected through underground or surface tunnel systems. Crater habs are designed to maintain nearly 1 bar of internal pressure with a safety factor of at least 2.5, providing enormous volumes for human habitation and all its related activities, providing a permanent solution for the long-term human habitation on the red planet.
The major limiting factors for human habitation on Mars is the extremely low atmospheric pressure and temperatures, and the solar and cosmic radiation. A successful human habitation structure should be able to address all of these factors in a single unit, and also cater for the needs for a long-term habitation of humans, not only in reliability and safety, but also cater for comfort, aesthetics, and livability, where humans can live without the confines of spacesuits and be able to conduct most of their daily activities in a shirt-sleeve environment. The need to leave the pressurized interior should only be for exploration, mining, construction, and maintenance of external facilities and the equipment.
The atmospheric pressure on Mars is merely 0.6% of Earth's atmospheric pressure. This is roughly equivalent to Earth's atmospheric pressure at 27 kilometers altitude. At this pressure, one cannot survive even for a short period of time without a pressurized spacesuit. The surface temperature on Mars is very low, averaging around minus 65 degrees Celsius and dropping as low as minus 165 degrees Celsius at night. Unlike Earth, Mars does not have any substantial magnetic field, resulting in the Martian surface unprotected against the onslaught of solar and cosmic radiation. No human can survive on Mars with this amount of radiation unless there is a protection to shield humans from these radiations.
Crater hab technology addresses these most fundamental requirements for human habitation on Mars. Crater habs will offer enormous volumes of space, utilizing the depths of the small craters over which these will be constructed as extra volume for the same amount of fabric material as for building such structures on a flat surface. This is a truly smart idea, not only obviating the need for excavation for more volume, but also saving on the structural material to achieve greater volumes of livable space.
Another interesting feature of the crater hab technology is the ease of construction of these domes over the rims of impact craters, which are almost perfectly circular, offering ease of construction with minimum design adjustments. The smart fabric design means that domes have compliance and plenty of capacity of stress absorption in case of adverse weather events like huge dust storms, where pressure changes and wind forces can cause severe stresses on the structure of the dome. The special biradial internal cable system will ensure the lateral movement of domes in high winds is negligible. This will offer enormous advantage over glass domes or any other rigid structure over such a scale.
Crater hab technology is extremely efficient, cost-effective, quick and simple to construct from locally available resources on Mars, and can be utilized to create Mars simulation bases here on Earth to test nearly all the required parameters of the permanent human settlement on Mars. Our next engineering concept is the establishment of a radiation shield for long-term safety of residents inside the crater habs, known as Active Integrated Radiation Shield, or AIRS for short.
Mars has no magnetic field of its own. As a result, the surface of Mars receives nearly 2.5 times radiation than that of the astronauts at the International Space Station. While it may not seem to be of an immediate concern for a permanent human inhabitation, the cumulative dose over many months will prove incompatible with human life in terms of radiation sickness, the risk of cancers and other ailments.
Planetary magnetic shields are generated by the movement of liquid hot interior. Due to its small size, the Martian interior cooled quickly, causing loss of its magnetic field that it held in its early life. This is in contrast to Earth, which retained its convecting hot interior, thus generating a constant magnetic field which protects life on its surface from harmful solar radiation.
Most human habitation on Mars concepts either suggest underground dwellings in caves and lava tubes to protect against the radiation, or propose several meters thick regolith or water shielding directly above the habitation structures. Though theoretically effective, the practicality of such ideas as a long-term solution can be questioned on so many levels. Humans as a species are not permanent underground dwellers. Permanent life underground with near total absence of natural light and lack of open spaces will lead to severe mental health issues emanating from loss of circadian rhythm and claustrophobia. All the advantages of a 24-hour day Mars has to offer will be wasted. Surface dwellings with millions of tons of regolith or water shielding carries huge risks to the safety of the inhabitants and the structural integrity of the habitat structures.
Mareekh Dynamics offers an effective and practical solution to the radiation conundrum through our patent-pending active integrated radiation shield, or AIRS for short, for the safety of inhabitants of the crater hab. It consists of the inherent property of the crater hab fabric to reflect harmful solar ultraviolet rays and an active radiation shield integrated into the skeletal framework of the crater hab, which is not only controllable, achieving on-demand level of protection against constantly changing solar radiation, but also obviates the need for heavy and dangerous radiation shieldings and its associated risk.
The old adage, necessity is the mother of invention, has been the driving force for the progress of human civilization on Earth for millennia, and Mars will be no exception. Humans on Mars will need to find a way to generate all the power they need independent of any supplies or imports from Earth.
Sources for power generation on Mars are extremely limited. This includes low solar flux, absence of fossil fuels, lack of harnessable wind power, and no known geothermal sources or reserves of radioactive minerals. Unless a radical engineering solution for the power generation on Mars is devised, power will remain the biggest limiting factor for establishing any long-term human habitation on Mars.
A human civilization on Mars will be primarily dependent upon mining of resources, including smelting of ores. Even farming on Mars and mere maintenance of internal environment to sustain human life, which we all take for granted on Earth, will require constant supply of power on Mars. Per capita power requirement for a human society on Mars will be many times more than that of Earth. Until a radical engineering solution for an efficient and reliable power generation is figured out, a human settlement on Mars may not be possible.
Mareekh Dynamics proposes its patent-pending hybrid power generation method that combines solar power or limited nuclear power from imported small reactors from Earth with available local resources on Mars to generate enormous amounts of power in an extremely efficient manner, utilizing unique attributes of the Martian environment. This power generation method is specifically designed in a Martian context. It is simple, cost-effective, environment-friendly, and can be constructed in available technology with minimal expertise.
These are dark and mysterious and are widespread on the surface of Mars. No one truly knows what these are and how these are formed. These dark streaks are thought to be fine sand avalanches, exposing the dark material underneath. But many of these dark streaks look nothing like solid material in their appearances and distribution. Many of these dark streaks appear like liquid flows and need a radical shift in our understanding about the presence of water on Mars.
We have very similar dark streaks here on our own very planet. They have uncanny resemblance to the dark streaks on the surface of Mars. And in satellite imagery of Earth, they can even look indistinguishable from the dark streaks on Mars in their appearance and pattern and in their dimension. Moreover, these dark streaks on Earth are found in seemingly sterile and lifeless terrain devoid of surface water. These are the vast mud volcano fields of the Hingol and Lasbela region in the Balochistan province of Pakistan. This region is riddled with a vast number of mud volcanoes and mud vents, constantly oozing thin mud that flows over several hundred meters, making their way around obstacles before drying out. The mud volcano region of Pakistan lies in close proximity to the subduction zone of Arabian and Eurasian plates. The underground water mixes and churns with fine clay and forces its way to the surface, possibly driven by the geological processes and pressure of underground gases, mostly methane.
Conventionally speaking, Mars is a dry, desolate, and a dead world. There has been no evidence of liquid water on the surface at present times, except for the relics of its wet, ancient past, with flow channels, streams, and lake beds that dried up hundreds of millions, perhaps billions of years ago. While there are vast amounts of ice under the surface in the form of permafrost, which is essentially frozen mud, and subsurface glaciers, several hundreds of meters to several kilometers thick, covering vast areas of Martian crust. It is not known if any known reserves of liquid water exist there. This dwindles any possibility of existence of life on Mars.
We have been exploring mud volcanic fields near and around Makran region, especially Hingol area and Lasbela and Avaran regions of the Balochistan province of Pakistan for the last 16 years. This is possibly one of the largest mud volcanic regions in the world, with the largest and most active mud volcanoes around. We have seen almost all sizes of mud volcanoes, from very small on the ground vents to the thousands of feet tall ones. These lie in one of the most inaccessible terrains. However, we reach them using our 4x4 vehicles and hiking gears. These mud volcanoes are present in very dry regions which receive very little rainfall throughout the year. Since mud flows from the mud volcanoes contain water mixed with fine sand and clay, we can see many water channels there. This water contains a lot of salts and minerals. There are mud flows hundreds of meters long, coming out from the vents of merely few inches wide. We have a very good idea of how these flows look like in the satellite imagery. Many of them were found using the satellite images on Google Earth. We followed them on the ground and found them to have very active mud flows. The mud volcano fields of Balochistan are seemingly lifeless plains. On our expedition of the previously unexplored mud volcanoes and their vast surrounding terrains formed from the mud flows seem devoid of any visible vegetation, both algae or bigger life forms. Part of the reason could be lack of precipitation in these locations, but also the chemical composition of the mud that has formed these terrains. We believe that if there is any life that exists in these mud vents and active mud flows contain mix of water, clay and chemicals, it could be extremophiles with partial or complete independence from the mainstream life in areas around these mud terrain.
The mud flows from mud volcanoes in Hingol and Lasbela regions have a very characteristic appearance in satellite imagery of Earth. They form dark streaks when fresh, containing liquid water and clay as they flow down the slopes of the mud volcanoes. Even on gentle slopes, They flow a considerable distance before getting thicker and drying out. While drying out, they gradually assume the color of the surrounding terrain.
These dark streaks are present in large fields in a specific area of Martian surface. They are several hundred meters long. Some are over a kilometer long. They very much resemble the mud volcanic flows on Earth as seen from the satellite images. Thus, it was very logical for us to say that these are potential mud flows. Not only that they resemble the terrestrial flows in terms of color and appearance, we found gullies, sinuosities, and levees in them. The physics around these gullies, sinuosities, and levees brought us to a logical conclusion that these are low viscosity fluid flows might have a lot of liquid water.
Mars has been geologically active in the past, and even now, there has been evidence of weak geological activity going on beneath the Martian crust. The fact that there are thick layers of permafrost and subsurface glaciers in the Martian crust over any possible geologically active spots makes us think that heat from such activity may result in melting of ice and churning of the resulting water with extremely fine Martian regolith to form a thin and fluid mud which may break out to the surface and flow down the slopes on Mars through a similar process that results in the formation of dark streaks in the mud volcano fields of Pakistan.
So far, we have gone through over 70,000 high-resolution images. At Mareekh Dynamics, our high-tech team is applying artificial intelligence and machine learning on these images to further understand them. Dark streaks on Mars, if found to be mud flows, will also prove the existence of liquid water very close to the surface, which may radically change our understanding of planet Mars and may help us find signatures of life there. The mud flows in Hingol and Lasbela region of Pakistan can be studied for the presence of life, likely to be extremophile microbes. The knowledge of their life cycle and processes and chemical signatures from their metabolism may help us calibrate instruments to the search for life at the sites of origin of the dark streaks on Mars itself.
Mareekh Dynamics aims to contribute toward ongoing efforts of making humans interplanetary by offering comprehensive engineering solutions for the fundamental problems in establishing permanent human settlement on Mars. Mareekh Dynamics seeks collaboration and offers to work together with global partners in making this dream a reality. We also offer our guidance and support to the astrobiologists who wish to do pioneer work in investigating the pristine mud volcano sites in Pakistan in order to investigate the analogy of these sites to possible mud volcanism on Mars. This could be pivotal in search for life on Mars. Mars is distant and desolate, but it holds the key for not only making humans and life in general interplanetary, but also for the exploration of outer solar system and beyond. Mars is the humanity's gateway to the stars.